If you have a child who is right now under 15 years of age, then congratulations, you are a parent to a Gen Alpha kid. These current young teens, kids and babies born from 2010 onwards right up until now in 2024 are the world's first digitally native citizens. So what this basically means is that they have been exposed to an online world right from birth. This can be both good and bad. In an earlier short video, I had shared some of the things that we need to protect our Gen Alpha little ones from. I'll link that here as well. But this video is all about the kind of education that Gen Alpha needs to thrive. The need of the hour is an education system that keeps pace with their computer-like brains. It is an education that helps them succeed even when competing with AI or a constantly changing professional landscape. It is also, most importantly, an education that keeps them mentally and emotionally stable and secure and helps them navigate life's twists and turns. So where does one find that? In this video, I'll briefly go over some of the most popular education systems available for students in India so that you as a parent can make an informed and educated choice for your child. So every state in India has a state board and they all have very well-defined syllabuses. And the state boards also tend to have a great outreach. So there are a number of both government schools run by the government as well as government aided schools that teach these state board programs. That means there are definitely reasonable options here as well. But one major reason that the state boards have been losing popularity amongst the middle class in India is because with respect to assessment, they are still completely examination driven. Now coming to the national boards. Well, I'll first discuss the board that is the most popular, which is of course the CBSE, that stands for the Central Board of Secondary Education. The CBSE follows a curriculum that is laid out by the NCERT. The NCERT is the National Council of Educational Research and Training, which is basically an autonomous group of academicians that design curriculum and knowledge base. The NCERT publishes course books for grades 1 to 12 and the CBSE follows these very course books as its syllabus. Though the NCERT is autonomous, there is some speculation on government influence over its content. The medium of instruction in CBSE schools can either be English or Hindi, and the CBSE conducts centralized examinations for all students of class 10 and class 12. These examinations are completely based on the NCERT syllabus and they include objective questions, subjective questions and an internal assessment. Now why is the CBSE so popular? Well, first off, there are over 24,000 schools affiliated to the CBSE in India. This is really good for all those parents who might have to move from one part of the country to another. They may have transferable jobs or they may need to move for work or other reasons. In such a scenario, it becomes relatively easy for them to find another school for their child. Now, many of these CBSE schools are run by the government. One example is of course the Kendriya Vidyalayas. In addition to this, there are many more that are run by private institutions and are affiliated to the CBSE. Some examples that I can think of are the Delhi public schools across India or the national public schools here in Bangalore. Another major reason for the preference of CBSE schools is the fact that a majority of entrance exams for universities or colleges within India are based on the NCERT syllabus. So it becomes relatively easier for students with a CBSE background to prepare for these examinations. Parents considering CBSE for their Gen Alpha kids do have a concern though. Are they equipped to adapt to the changing times? And do students who pass out from CBSE have the skills required for the future? Well, the good news is that with India's NEP, that is the National Education Policy, there are a lot of changes taking place. CBSE schools are trying to adapt to critical thinking and they've already introduced new age vocational courses in subjects like AI and coding. CBSE books also include activities and experiments for each topic. Recently, the NCERT also recommended a new evaluation model wherein a student's performances in grade 9, 10 and 11 should also be considered along with their grade 12 marks in their overall board result. So, according to the new framework that they've advised to adopt, it would assess a student's cumulative performance over the years. So 15% weightage would be given to grade 9, 20% to grade 10, 25% to grade 11 and 40% to grade 12. And this new model will also have a more holistic view of what a student is learning, which would include both formative or ongoing assessments and summative, that is end of term assessments. Another factor to note is that there are plenty of private schools all across India that, though they are affiliated to the CBSE and their students do appear in the class 10 and class 12 examinations conducted by the CBSE, they still have their own innovative patterns of instruction and learning. A couple of such schools that come to mind with this reference are the Shiv Nadar schools or the Kunskapsskolan schools that integrate CBSE alongside the Swedish KED program, which focuses on 21st century skills development. So basically, when it comes to CBSE schools, there are a large variety of different kinds of CBSE schools all across the country, and children will have very different experiences based upon the school they choose. Alongside formal education, it's also super important to provide young children with resources to engage their tech-savvy minds in the right direction. Reading is both a skill and a habit that is not going to lose importance anytime soon. But to hook Gen Alpha onto books, that may be challenging. That's why I'm going to share with you a way to make reading more fun and interactive for your little ones. The Early Reader's Book. This isn't your average storybook. It's powered by augmented reality, which means each page of the story actually comes to life right before your child's eyes. Here's how it works. The set basically includes 3 storybooks, which have been beautifully illustrated. But the truly captivating part begins when your child uses the ERB app. After downloading and installing the app, it's time to activate the book by scanning a QR code located inside it. And that's all you need to do to bring the story to life. Just hover your phone or tablet over any page of the story and your child can watch the characters come alive. It's a fun and immersive experience for children to see their favorite characters moving and interacting right on the page.
Feeling confident and adventurous, she decided it was the perfect day for a delightful stroll around the village.
I'm looking great and feeling like exploring.
There are also games, quizzes, and read-along sections for each book, making the Early Reader's Book a perfect blend of both fun and learning. Now coming to another national board, which is popularly known as the ICSE. But that is actually the name given to its class 10 exams. It is basically the CISCE, that is the Council for the Indian School Certificate Examinations. The CISCE conducts exams for grade 10 students, which are known as the ICSE exams, and for class 12 students, which are known as the ISC exams. The CISCE has around 3,000 schools affiliated to it across India and a few in other countries as well. The medium of instruction in all these schools is English, and you will basically find these schools in almost every Indian city and town. And all the schools that are affiliated to the CISCE have to follow a series of prescribed norms. These schools are, however, allowed to follow their own curriculum right up until grade 8. It is only from grades 8 to 12 wherein the CISCE has a very well-defined curriculum that all schools affiliated to it have to follow. English is given a lot of emphasis by the CISCE, and both English language and English literature are mandatory and are taught at a very high level. This is a big advantage when it comes to the development of English proficiency, analytical and communication skills. Another important feature of the CISCE is that it's not mandatory to study maths or science, because there are other optional subjects within these same groups. But most of the schools affiliated to the CISCE in India do insist on including these. The third group of subjects offered by the CISCE includes new age application-oriented subjects like mass media, computer applications and economic applications. And the CISCE also has affiliation to the School Games Federation of India, which hosts many sporting events for students to participate in, thus offering a lot of exposure and opportunities. With respect to assessments, 20% weightage is given to internal projects and application-based assignments, and 80% weightage is given to external assessments. And the CISE overall has many more subject options. So thereby it's more expansive, it's more broad-based and more balanced when it comes to its curriculum, which may work well for students who want to pursue further careers in management or in humanities or arts. Now, another board that is not spoken about often is the NIOS, or the National Institute of Open Schooling. The NIOS was started by India's Education Ministry in order to provide school education in a very flexible way to all those students who could not attend school physically on a regular basis. So they provide open and distance learning modes of courses that are equivalent to school education, as well as some vocational courses as well. So this works really well for children who have developmental challenges or physical challenges or chronic illnesses or any other constraint that doesn't allow them to go to school on a regular basis. But in addition to this, it also works well for children who may have to devote a large part of their day to pursuing other interests, like for example children who play a professional sport, or those who undertake extensive training in music, or children who are child actors, for example. NIOS does this through correspondence courses, and they also offer online coaching through recorded video content. They also offer a lot of flexibility by even scheduling on-demand examinations. Now moving on to international boards. So by now some of you may know that my own children study in an IB school here in Bangalore, and they've been studying there for almost 6 years now. I've also made a very in-depth video on the IB education system in India, and I have 3 more videos coming up very soon on each respective program that the IB offers. So in this current video, I'm not going to go too much in detail into the IB education, and instead focus on another international education option that is very popular in India as well. Now the board that I'm referring to is very popularly known as the IGCSE. But once again, this is actually the name of its grade 9 and 10 curriculum, as well as the assessment certificate offered by this board. Now the actual name of this board is Cambridge International. It is a UK-based board that offers the Cambridge Pathway, which is an integrated kindergarten to grade 12 education system. So within this, first comes the Cambridge Primary, which is for grades 1 to 5. Then this is followed by the Cambridge Lower Secondary, which is for grades 6 to 8. And after this are the programs designed for students of grades 9 and 10. Over here, the student has an option of either doing the IGCSE, which comprises of only 5 subjects from a choice of over 70, or the student can appear for the ICE, which is considered to be more tough and prestigious. Under the ICE, a student has to take a minimum of 7 subjects and a maximum of 11. And they have to pick at least one subject from each of 5 different subject groups. Now coming to grades 11 and 12, over here Cambridge International offers a program called the AS and A levels. This is a very rigorous and highly specialized course wherein students have to study between 3 to 5 subjects in depth. So some of the features of Cambridge education in India are that unlike the national boards, the programs offered by Cambridge Pathways are heavily application based. But unlike the IB, they do have a more defined syllabus. The assessments require and the learning requires students to go beyond mere memorization and recall. The students are expected to understand the concepts and apply those concepts to answer very unique questions. So no one year's assessment will be similar to previous years. They will all be unique. Another point that I wanted to mention is that there are many schools in India that run their own curriculums for lower grades, but then have affiliations to the Cambridge International Board for grades 9 to 12. There are over 700 schools in India that offer Cambridge International programs and certifications. And these certifications of Cambridge International are recognized by top universities and employers all across India and worldwide. One more aspect worth mentioning is that the Cambridge International Board now offers 3 series of exams in India, including one in March. So this enables students in India, studying the Cambridge programs to give their exams in the same month where national board exams take place. This helps when it comes to university admissions and common entrance tests, etc. I hope this overview of all the different boards and education systems available for students was of help to all those parents in India who are trying to determine the right choice for their Gen Alpha kids. Do let me know if you have any other questions or if you'd like me to make an in-depth video on any of the boards I've mentioned. For now, I'll see you in my series on IB education in India.